Bing bongy bong, bing bongy bong. This is Joe, the bearded historian. He'll tell you an interesting story. Be careful of his soldiers, they can be brats. This is Angel, she's an entity. She'll cause chaos and plant her hands at you. This is Sue, she likes spirits, not the alcohol. She's the reason this channel exists. This is David, he likes fire trucks. He's here occasionally. Bing bongy bong, bing bongy bong, bing bongy bong. We preserve his story.
I'm behind. It's okay. We'll get caught up. Are you ready? It's Thursday. We just saw Hamilton in the theater. Girl was excited. It was alright. Anyway. Are you ready? Here we go. Shout out time. Here's a shout out just for you. You support me, so I support you. This shout out is for our friends. Let's see who it is today. Hold on just a minute. Alright, we got a robot race. Here we go. Alright, so we've got my Linda. There's Lucille, Walter, A&M, Moon, Scrapping, Mindfolk New, Lizelle, Sandra, excuse me, Tay Eats, Raven, Blistering, Laura, Josie, Strong Mind, Brits, M&J, Principal, 5 Can, Data's Adventures, Fractured, Lynch, 6 Bows, Sea Tripping, I, Reverend, Trip, RC, Hillbillies, Stace. Oh, it looks like it's going to be I. Hang on a minute. Okay, this is I. He's at 3,100 subscribers, and he does a lot of car repairs. There's wiring, flashlights, visit to the zoo, cars, a lot of car stuff. He's got some shorts, which are all mostly car related, and occasionally life, so it's a trivia, car stuff, and stuff like that. So if you're into cars, it's a good place to go. Check him out. Like, share, comment. Alright, the bearded historian is going to tell you about something historical. Or hysterical. Or maybe a combination of the two.
Might be hysterical, you know.
It might be.
It's a 30-year-old child. It gets aggravated and irritated and kind of flammable, you know.
Flammable?
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Like, after all, I mean, for revenue, it only made $10.3 billion last year.
I know, we were talking about flammable stuff.
Yeah. Well, pretty much you can buy anything on there. But today, class, we're going to talk about what you might call one of the fun, long-running businesses that's kind of united the marketplace. You know, we're talking about a company that started in California, like a lot of the internet has. Started out as kind of a little pet project by a guy selling a broken laser pointer. I kid you not. Our topic today is on eBay. Now, originally founded as Auction Web.
Auction Web.
Auction Web.
That's a terrible name.
I know.
Honest, but terrible.
Yeah. By a French-born Iranian-American computer programmer named Pierre Amadar. Interestingly enough, this is just a hobby he had, September 3rd, 1995, to make some money, extra money. One of the first items sold was a broken laser pointer for $14.83. Now, interestingly enough, he contacted the winning bidder to ask if he understood that the laser pointer was broken. The buyer explained, "I'm a collector of broken laser pointers."
Interesting.
Happy customer, you know. Now, in February the following year, Amadar's internet service provider came knocking and said, yeah, for all the web traffic, we're going to have to move your price up. And they wanted to go from $30 to $250.
Shit, no.
Yeah. Now, it prompted him to obtain support from his mom's family. Interesting enough, his grandfather, General Mahoud Mimdejari, was the father of Iran's defense industries. The website would make $1,000 in its first month, which was more than the cost to run, and $2,500 in the second month. Now, Chris Agaparo was eBay's first employee, and he processed mailed check payments. Now, the first president would come along shortly later that year, Jeffrey Skoll, and in November, the company launched online auctions for airline seats, hotel rooms, cruise berths, and other travel-related projects in a partnership with Electronic Travel Auctions. By that time, the company had hosted more than 200,000 auctions since its founding 14 months earlier. Well, here's where it gets interesting. This is where eBay comes from. Now, the company changed its name in September 1997 after Echo Bay Technology Group, Amadar's consulting firm. The EchoBay.com domain name was already registered by Echo Bay Mines, a gold mining company, so Amadar shortened it to eBay.com.
Woo!
And in 1997, the company received $6.7 million in venture capital funding from Benchmark. Now, the frequently repeated story that eBay was founded to help Amadar's fiance trade Pez candy dispensers, fabricated. It's all BS.
Aw.
Yeah.
Man, I like that story.
It's a great story, and I can imagine people from Pez were still using it.
I would.
Yeah, it was built by public relations manager Mary Lou Song to give the media's human interest story and to generate publicity with toy collectors. Now, I can give this a nod because, first of all, you got to realize, again, I'm a Raider fan.
Really? Since when?
In South Dakota.
Oh.
I'm between Bronco fans, Viking fans, Packer fans, Cowboy fans. In the college circuit, you've got the Nebraska Cornhuskers. So, you don't get a lot of Raider stuff up here. Let's be honest.
Yeah, it's very hard to find.
Yeah. Once in a while, once in a blue moon, don't get me wrong, pawn shops will have stuff come up. You'll see a message in the newspaper, although we don't get the paper anymore. People will be like, yeah, I'm looking to sell off this piece of collections. The card shops back in the day would actually call me up and say, hey, yeah, do you have this? And then I could look at the list and go, yeah, I need that one. Now, what gets crazy is that some of the stuff that I got in my collection, my personal collection, came out of an eBay deal down in Florida. I've never been to Florida. I've never set foot in Florida. The closest I've ever been to Florida was in Alabama. And even down in Alabama, I at that time, I was kind of, what's a good way to put it? I was on hiatus from the Raiders. They weren't really appealing to me. They really weren't doing that well, so, vacation time. But what happened is that in, I think it was 2003, 2004, what wound up happening is I had run into a guy on a Raider chat, and he was getting ready to sell pieces of his personal collection. Now, originally, he was looking to get rid of the whole schlemiel. He wanted to get rid of the jerseys, the autographs, the books, the pictures, the figurines, the starting lineups. I mean, it was an awesome size collection. I will kid you not. If I would have had the $100,000, I probably would have bought the whole frickin' thing. But I wasn't fabulously wealthy.
Oh, man.
But then a week later, this guy started selling everything bits and pieces. And so, I could actually, again, with the checklist book that I had, I could go through and say, okay, I need that, I need that, I need that, I need those two, I need that, and I need that. That looks good. I'll take that, take that. And so, thanks to my deal with eBay, my account, I was able to go through and I added like 300 items to my collection. And again, stuff that you wouldn't find around here. So that if I ever decide that I'm going to sell it, Angel would probably have to get it verified that it's an authentic autograph. But at the same time, here was a guy that he was looking just to, move what he had for the Raiders, possibly sell it to a local Raider bar down there in Florida, and then move out of the country. More power to him.
Really?
Ironically enough, he came back to the United States too. Really didn't like Colombia. But anyway, I digress. But anyway, eBay, to its height, started expanding into further markets thanks to this publicity with toy collectors. Interesting fact, the most purchased and sold items on the website, Beanie Babies.
I see that. They were really big in the 90s.
Yeah.
Some of them are pretty pricey.
Yeah, 1997, they accounted for 10% of all the listings.
I would have thought more.
Ty, the manufacturer, had actually even set up a website where people could trade using the Beanie Babies. However, overwhelmed by the unsortable listings, with the user-friendly interface, eBay became popular with the collectors. Now, in March of '98, Meg Whitman was appointed president and CEO, and at that time the company had 30 employees, 500,000 users, and was putting in revenue of $4.7 million in the United States. In July of 1998, eBay acquired Jump, the developer and operator of Up for Sale, an advertising-supported auction website, which at the time had 27,000 separate auctions and 50,000 registered members. In September that year, during the dot-com bubble, eBay would become a public company via an initial public offering, IPO, led by the CFO, Gary Binger, opening on NASDAQ at the price of $18 a share, and it would close at $53 a share. On that initial product offering, both Amador and Skull became billionaires.
Oh, I imagine.
Now, in the risk factors section of the annual report filed with the U.S. Securities and Exchange, Amador noted eBay's dependence on the continued strength of the Beanie Babies market. Well, in 2000, in June, eBay would buy out Half.com, I remember those guys, for $312 million in stock. And in 2000, eBay partnered with Escrow.com to handle escrow for purchases and sales of motor vehicles, later expanded to other transaction types. By year end, it had 22.5 million registered users, 79.4 million auctions per quarter. In January of 2001, eBay would acquire a majority stake in Internet Auction Company Limited, an operator of the largest internet auction website in South Korea.
No idea what that is.
Yeah, somebody over in South Korea apparently was running a good series. The very next year, in February, eBay would acquire iBazaar, a French online auction site, founded in 1998 for approximately $112 million in stock. eBay entered the Chinese market in 2002, shutting down its Chinese site due to competition from local rival in 2007, Taobao. So apparently they didn't like going head-to-head.
Apparently not.
Again, in February of 2002, eBay would exit Japan due to competition from Yahoo Japan and began operations in Taiwan with the acquisition of Neocom Technology for $9.5 million. Now, do you have to say, back in the day, Yahoo was big. They had auctions, they had GeoCities, they had, all sorts of features. And if they would have stuck with it, I think they could have given eBay a run for its money, because the number one thing Yahoo auctions had was no listing fees. That's the thing, number one, that eBay is just notorious for. So Japan went to Taiwan. They did an acquisition of Neocom Technology for $9.5 million. And then in June of 2006, eBay turned over its operations in Taiwan to a joint venture partner. Now, eBay, here's one for you, sweetie, acquired PayPal.
Woo!
On October 3rd, 2002 for $1.4 billion. It would phase out of its bill point payment service in January of 2003. Now, in May 28th, 2003, a case of eBay Inc. versus Merck Exchange LLC, which had implications for the treatment of business method patents, a United States District Court jury found eBay guilty of willful patent infringement and ordered the company to pay $35 million in damages after Merck Exchange accused eBay of infringing on 3 patents, one of which used eBay's Buy It Now feature. This decision was appealed to the United States Court of Appeals for the Federal Circuit. The CAFC affirmed the judgment of the willful infringement and reversed the lower court and granted a permanent injunction. eBay appealed the permanent injunction to the Supreme Court of the United States, which, on the 15th of May 2006, found an injunction is not required nor automatic in this or any patent case where guilt has been established. Case was sent back to Virginia District Court for consideration of the injunction and a trial on another Merck Exchange patent. So they got caught with their hands in the cookie jar.
What? Oh, poor cookies.
Yeah, poor cookies. And in 2003, eBay sought to develop an e-commerce business in China, acquiring the country's leading online auction platform, EachNet, and reaching an 85% market share. Within 4 years, the development of Alibaba's Taobao resulted in eBay's market share in China decreasing to 7.7%. It kind of took the wind out of their sails. Well, in August of 2004, eBay would acquire 25% of the classified advertising website Craigslist for $32 million.
The creepiest website on the planet.
No kidding. Former disgruntled Craigslist executive Philip Knowlton was the seller. In December of 2004, eBay acquired Rent.com for $4.5 million, or $415 million. In March of 2005, eBay launched Kijiji, a classified advertising website in international markets. It launched in the United States in July of 2007. In May of 2005, eBay acquired Gumtree, a classified advertising website in the United Kingdom. In October of 2005, eBay would acquire Skype Technologies.
Skype!
For $2.6 billion. These guys had cash just lying around.
I didn't realize that they were connected to Skype.
Now, ProStores was an e-commerce website hosting company owned by eBay, formerly known as Current StoreSense. ProStores was acquired by eBay at the end of 2005, changing the name to ProStores by eBay. ProStores' feature set includes simple wizard-driven website, e-commerce capabilities, site design tools, and e-business management. Smaller merchants could also manage the entire process of posting and selling products on eBay using a ProStores interface. It also offered inventory management, supplier communications, and integration with QuickBooks and Dreamweaver. eBay announced on July 1st, 2014, that support for the platform would end the following year in February.
Now we bought it, now we don't need it.
Exactly. And in 2006, February, Inuit launched a web-based version of It's Deductible, a donation tracking service, using data from eBay to help users assign a market value to the items they donate.
I mean, that's interesting.
Yeah. In April of 2006, eBay would launch eBay Express, a site that was designed to work like a standard internet shopping site with fixed prices and no betting involved. The website had 10 million items listed upon its launch. The site was shut down in October 2008, and January 2007, eBay acquired StubHub, an online marketplace for ticket resale, for $310 million. It's like whenever somebody comes up with an idea, eBay's going to buy it.
We'll buy this.
We'll buy that, this, that, and 2 of those until it falls apart, and then eBay gets out of it. In 2008, Meg Whitman resigned as president and CEO of eBay to enter politics, and was replaced with John Donahoe. Whitman remained on the board of directors and continued to advise through 2008. Well, in April of 2008, eBay would sue Craigslist, claiming that in January of 2008, Craigslist took actions that were unfairly diluted eBay's economic interest by more than 10%, making eBay lose its seat on the board of directors of Craigslist. Craigslist countersued in May of 2008, alleging that eBay used its board seat to gain insider information about Craigslist that was used to compete against the company. Well, don't sit at the same table with them. In September of 2010, Delaware Judge William B. Chandler III ruled that the actions of Craigslist were unlawful, and the actions taken by Craigslist founders Jim Buckmaster and Craig Newmark had breached their fiduciary duty of loyalty and restored eBay's stake in the company to 28.4% from a diluted level of 24.85%. However, The judge did dismiss eBay's objection to the staggered board provision, citing that Craigslist had the right to protect its own trade secrets. Now, eBay in 2008 May announced the opening of a building on the company's North Campus in San Jose, California, the first ground-up structure in the city to be built to LEED gold standards. The building, the first the company had built in its 13-year existence, uses an array of 3,248 solar panels spanning 60,000 square feet and providing 650 kilowatts of power.
That's impressive.
Yeah, 15 to 18% of the company's total energy requirements, reducing carbon dioxide usage by 37 million pounds over 30 years. The building also has the energy-efficient lighting and water system, and most of its waste is recycled. Now, in 2009, eBay would agree to acquire a controlling stake in Gmarket, South Korean online retailer, for $413 million. In May of 2009, eBay would launch the Selling Manager Applications Program, SM Apps. The program allowed approved developers to integrate their applications directly into the eBay.com interface. In November 2009, eBay would sell a 70% stake of Skype to a consortium led by Silver Lake Partners and Mark Andreessen for a $2.75 billion valuation while retaining a 30% minority ownership interest in Skype after failing to integrate Skype into the company's online marketplace. Microsoft acquired the entire company for $8.5 billion in May of 2011. Now, in 2011, eBay would acquire the GSI Commerce for $2.4 billion, and in June of 2013, it was renamed eBay Enterprise. In May of 2012, Primedia, now Rent Group, acquired the Rent.com from eBay for approximately $415 million.
Oh, wow.
In September of 2012, eBay would introduce a new logo using a thinner variation of the Universe typeface, and it replaced the thicker Universe logo. In October of 2012, eBay launched an international shipping partnership with Pitney Bowes, whereby the seller of an item to be shipped internationally can send the item to a Pitney Bowes facility in their home country, and then it forwards it to the international buyer, taking care of all the international shipping requirements. The company also launched a partnership with FedEx to offer discounted shipping options to sellers. In November of 2012, eBay was charged with high-tech employee antitrust litigation, accused by the United States Department of Justice of entering into non-solicitation agreements with other technology companies involving highly skilled employees. Litigation would be settled in May of 2014, with eBay required to end its anti-competitive practices. In September of 30th, 2014, eBay announced it would spin off PayPal into a separate publicly traded company, a demand made 9 months prior by activist hedge fund magnate Carl Icahn. The spin-off was completed on July 18th, 2015. In January 2015, eBay acquired Viva Anuncios, a classified advertising website in Mexico. In June of 2015, eBay would sell its stake in Craigslist back to the company, ending the litigation. In August of 2015, eBay sold a portion of its stake in Snapdeal. In 2015 of September, ProPay and Skrill were eliminated as payment methods on the eBay website, citing low usage. Well, that makes sense. Flipkart and eBay would enter into a strategic partnership in July of 2017, under which eBay acquired a 5.44% stake in Flipkart in exchange for the contribution of its Indian business unit valued at $211 million and a $514 million cash investment in Flipkart. Flipkart launched the program to allow its sellers to sell to customers globally in partnership with eBay. eBay reported a gain of $167 million on the sale of its India operations, and in May of 2018, eBay sold its stake of Flipkart to Walmart and relaunched its operations in India. Now, in 2017, eBay would shut Half.com, and in October 2017, eBay released image retrieval capability, allowing users to find listings on the site that match an item depicted in a photo using artificial intelligence and machine learning technologies. Yeah, it's kind of cool.
So if you don't know the name of something, but you know what the picture looks like,
let them scan it.
You might be able to find something similar. Yeah. That's kind of cool.
I like that. In January 31st, 2018, eBay announced that it would replace PayPal as its primary payments provider with the Netherlands-based startup Aiden, resulting in lower costs and more control to merchants. In May of 2018, eBay acquired the Japanese e-commerce platform OU for $573 million, and in July of 2018, eBay announced support for Apple Pay as well as the partnership with Square for seller financing loans of up to $100,000. In September 2018, in response to the YouTube headquarters shooting, eBay announced plans to install security fence around the perimeter of the San Jose headquarters to protect employees.
I don't remember that.
A security fence, how about a freaking wall?
Nah.
Now, in March 2019, the company paid its first dividend following investor pressure to improve shareholder return. On July 31st, 2019, the company acquired a 5.59% stake in Paytm Mail. The September 2019 facing pressure from, again, activist shareholder Elliott Investment Management, Devin Winning resigned as CEO. Scott Schenkel, Senior Vice President and Chief Financial Officer since 2015, was appointed as the interim CEO. In November of 2018, eBay agreed to sell StubHub to Viagogo for $4.05 billion in cash, with the sale completing in February of 2020. Now, in 2020, in April, Jamie Linode became the CEO of the company, and in June 2020, Fred D. Anderson and Thomas J. Turney resigned from the board of directors of the company. Both have been directors since 2003. In July of 2020, eBay sold its classified business to Adventa for $2.5 billion in cash and 540 million shares of Adventa. To gain regulatory approval, Gumtree was further divested. eBay sold its shares of Adventa in 2023 when that company was acquired by private equity firms. In September of 2020, Pierre Omidyar resigned from the board of directors after resigning as chairman in 2015. In November of 2021, eBay sold its South Korean business to Emart for $3 billion. In May of 22, eBay would acquire a stake in Funko, become the preferred secondary marketplace for Funko. It's like anything that's collectible, they get their fingers into.
I mean, in a way, it makes sense.
True. And in June of 2022, the company acquired Known Origin, a marketplace for non-fungible tokens. Oh, yes, the NFTs.
NFTs.
Yep. In August of 2022, the company acquired My Fitment Group of companies specializing in online sales of automotive and power sports parts and accessories. And in October of 2022, the company acquired TCG Player, a marketplace for collectible card games, for up to $295 million. In July of 2023, the company acquired Certiligo, a provider of artificial intelligence powered digital IDs and authentication for apparel and fashion goods. In January of 2024, the company announced plans to lay off 9% of its workforce after hiring outpaced growth projections. Oops. Now, for all the fun and craziness and issues with eBay, again, there are some parts of eBay that I really like. The ability to find stuff that's not local.
Mm-hmm.
A couple of the things that do tend to make eBay out to be the bad guy. One of the first things that especially here locally, and we've talked about it at times where local card shops just can't compete, and eBay is a good example why. Because, for example, if the card shop at the mall has an autograph of Jim Otto, okay, nice guy, but they want $50 for it,
and I can go online and get it for 20, I'll get it online, you know, because, you know, with the experiences I've had with some of the businesses in this town, I don't want to get reamed because I want to get one jersey, especially in my case where the guy might only be with the team for 3 years. But that's being right for him. But the other thing is that, again, selection. You know, if I went up to the place at the mall and tried to find Todd Christensen jersey, I wouldn't find it up there. I already know that. If I wanted to find a jersey of Jim Plunkett, probably won't find that either. Tim Brown, maybe. But at the same time, whereas I could find it online for, you know, 30, 40 bucks, up there at the mall, they might want 150 for it.
Right.
And then it comes down also to what really kind of killed off a lot of card shops is that, you know, when they would want 90 bucks for a box of cards, but online you could get the same box for 40. That really, you know, it changed the ball game all the way across. Of course, the other factor that also affected a lot of these deals is that when they were talking about trading cards, I remember when Magic the Gathering first came out, and I loved playing Magic the Gathering. I had, I think, 3 complete sets of old issues. Around here, you couldn't hardly make anything for them. But just the other day, I was reading that the antiquity set, it's ridiculous. You could buy a house with how much it's worth. I wish I still had mine. But now the other problem that I had with eBay, and I've heard this more than a few times, and a lot of it comes from both sides. Because first of all, if you sell on eBay, you know, you can scan, you can put up a picture, you can put up all sorts of flavor text. You put in time to sell your product. And for example, we'll use a card that's, say, $10. You know, you've got a good Jordan. First of all, the hard part with it is just like a card shop. You might not get anybody that wants it. Or they'll come back and say, I'll give you $5 for it. And you're like going, oh, dude. Now, where eBay comes in on this, and I've tried before selling on eBay, is that it gets expensive to post on eBay because they will nickel and dime you to the point that you go, was this seriously worth it?
Yeah.
I remember one month I posted 120 auctions, and I think we made, by the end of the month, $90. And I was like, you know, because the thing is, okay, first of all, you pay to post the card. Okay. You pay to post the photograph. Then, once the card sells, you have a buyer's fee that you get to get stuck with. Then, once those 3 are there, then they charge you a percentage of how much it sells for. Which, to that effect, you know, takes it, again, money out of the pocket. Then, when you go to ship it, you know, a lot of places, you know, the guys will say they'll eat the shipping. Other places, they'll charge you, you know, $4, $5. That, at least, you can, you know, put in with what they pay you. But a lot of places, you know, that's one of the things that they figured out, factors, people buying on eBay, you know, can they get it for really dirt cheap? Mm. Now, the thing I also love, and I've seen this a few times, is they'll sell a card for 1 cent. Of course, the shipping's $5, but, you know, if you're trying to complete a set, that's where you'd almost want to go to a local card shop if they got the card. You know, in cases like that, I'll pay the 6 cents in tax and buy a card from a local vendor. That I could go. That I could go with. But the fact is that when you put in the time, the work, the effort, and the hours to post 10 cards a day for 30 days, and then sometimes you won't even get a hit, which is really frustrating. Of course, one of the funniest auctions that I actually put together, I tried to sell 3 times. First time, no bids. Second time, no bids. The third time was bought the same day with the buy it now option, because it was a hockey card that was numbered to a guy from Finland. And it was going back to Finland. So I thought that was kind of cool. Because the guy's like, yeah, he lives in my hometown. I'm like, cool, And deals like that, I think. Now, the other thing that's kind of crazy, and I've seen businesses that have done this. There's a couple great ones on eBay, just to think of. They produce so many auctions, and for my best guess is they probably either have it in a cycle where, as a business, they get a discount on what they post or how much they post. But for all the stuff that they put out, I can't imagine, running the same 300 items day in and day out. I mean, granted, they probably have, something set up for $30 with free shipping, and, it can run for a month at a time. That is kind of understandable if it's something the market's going to look for. Again, us Raider fans are nuts. We buy stuff like that. Mm-hmm. I bought a 1961 set that way. But the big thing there is, you look at how many people try to sell on eBay, and the big thing there is that's the advantage. Because otherwise, let's think about the difference between eBay and a brick and mortar store, okay? With eBay, you have those little tiny transactions, and it'll nickel and dime you. But if you have a brick and mortar store, you have to pay rent, you got to pay for the water, the lights, if you have an employee, electricity, all that stuff, it'll add up on you. Plus, if you're going to do a brick and mortar store, that's a lot of money to put out of your pocket just before you even turn the key. So that's where a lot of people enjoyed, doing the small business gig. Granted, also here in South Dakota, they do like to charge everybody tax on your businesses. And so, being in South Dakota, every month I would have to add up all my sales and then do a percentage and then send the check off to the state of South Dakota. But, it was one thing that when sales were good, before the economy started going south, we had that recession, and it hurt a lot of sales. Stuff that I thought, would get $20, $40, it just didn't sell. And so, eventually I got to the point that I said, I'm just not going to sell on eBay anymore. Some people still do, though. And if I do need something on a quick whim, I might take a look on eBay and see if it's something that's affordable that I can get a hold of, and try my luck then. But this has been our little tour trip for 30 years. eBay's been with us. Will it stay another 30 years? Our phone lines are open. This has been the Bearded Historian for the Bud Files. We'll see you guys next week. Have a good one.
All I can say is eBay is safer than Facebook Marketplace.
Yes.
And I know there's new places like Poshmark and things like that, but I think I'd still trust eBay above all those. Just because they're newer.
Right.
They don't have the track record.
Well, that, and also eBay has the feedback advantage too.
The feedback? You're all weird.